Sekhmet speaks. I am she who is the blood rose, the walker of eternity, who penetrates all things seen and unseen with the uncompromising sight of the solar mind. I have come clothed in many names, Tosmulukai, Ham-Ep, Dahlia, Rasi, and Sekhmet among them. Before the gods of earth I came. I advanced from the great Cosm, the cloud of the Ismim, the firstborn. From my lion and human form, I coalesce the prima matra of each into the blood of the eternal fire. I am both the wave and the rider of the wave, for I was formed within the mind and simultaneously without, in the realm of non-mind. Yea, in my chariot, I become sun, the sole Ra of perpetual creation. I am both the widow in shadows and the lighted lady. I seek that which has been torn from my heart, and in doing so, I stalk the desolate spaces. Yet to those who call me, I lift my lamp to the soul. Thoth has told me that he comes from the mouth of Sekhmet. He explains that Sekhmet is a later version of an ancient sacred archetype, one of the Ismim, the primordial archetypes through which the earth's beginning archetypal patterns were established. While all Egyptian gods have archetypal patterns resonating from them, they are not all solely archetypal. The Ismim have been entirely created through God presence merging with very ancient otherworld sentient consciousness. For instance, Thoth Hermes, or Tehute, is a highly evolved soul who incarnated as the being Tehute, the master architect of the Great Pyramid. However, having been so empowered in his service, he is also an archetype or focus for attunement to higher mind in the archetypal form of Thoth, Tehute, Hermes, Mercury, etc. On the other hand, Sekhmet has never been an ensouled being. She is a composition of sentient thought from many minds more ancient than human mind may possibly comprehend in its limited view of time and the universe. Her later image was mutated, but her divine center remains. The Egyptians inherited their knowledge of Sekhmet from Atlantis, who in turn received her from Lemuria or Mu. She has appeared to certain cultures independently as well. However, through each culture's lens, her form becomes mutable with the consciousness giving her a portal to humanity. Her core essence is unchanged, but her outer form and persona is somewhat altered by the sentience that embraces her. The first most ancient Egyptian Sekhmet contains much of her original essence. The lion human form comes from the lion-headed ones of Sirius, who gave her the final transformation before she merged with the earth. Unless otherwise stated in this article, Sekhmet refers to her most ancient form, synonymous with Tosmultekai. She is also embodied in the Babylonian Ishtar, who appears in the Bible as Ashtoreth, Anath, Asherah, or Esther, the Queen of Heaven, and the goddess Kur, who is prevalent in many world religions. Sekhmet is the opener of the third eye, not so much as a psychic sense, but as a transmission of primordial power from its fallen seat at the base of the spine to its original position as the portal of manifestation between the sacred tonal throat and the crown star, top of head. Thus Sekhmet is also the bringer of fire, for she ignites the third eye with the primordial first flame of her eternal sight. Her power is not of this earth. She is not, as is Isis, Sophia, or Mari, an indwelling principality of the planet's feminine pillar. She arrives from the most ancient reaches of the cosmos to reclaim her lost children, that portion of souls who separated from her dominion eons before the earth was a thought in the mind of God. When Sekhmet appears in our lives, it is time for us to shear away all illusions of our mortality and of our place in the space of time. We are being called by her to know ourselves as multidimensional beings, unfettered by identification with planets, genders, or any form that cannot become mutable in the instant. It is in this summoning that we find the mystery and fear that has collected about the image of Sekhmet. She calls upon the soul to release all identification and thus all fear, for to detach from identity requires a massive movement of faith in the essence of the spiritual orientation of the soul. Like a poultice, Sekhmet draws from us the contagion we hold in our identities with half-light memory. She demands that we see who we truly are with the full light spectrum of vision. To the ensouled human, nothing is more confrontational and threatening than this. To be summoned by Sekhmet into her initiation is nothing less than being asked to step into the void, the abyss. She challenges you in this act to know beyond a doubt from whence comes your true source of light, safety, and strength. Yet there is a great compassion in Sekhmet for those who would be compassionate with themselves. One cannot face her tender side without the mantle of self-forgiveness. For those souls able to reach that deeply into their own hearts, Sekhmet becomes the lighted lady whose lamp shines a loving presence into the human experience. This gentler side of Sekhmet is evidenced by the ancient Egyptians more in the visage of Hathor, an aspect of Sekhmet. Tehuti, lord of the Akashic, master architect of the Temple of the Lion, was given his soul empowerment through Sekhmet, long before his sojourn in this world. Sekhmet's temples of initiation on earth are still intact on the inner planes, and before the light principle 40 of the ascension will become fully active again with the physical state of reality. The geographical sites for her main temples of the past are 1, the Euphrates River in the Middle East, 2, with what Thoth calls the Shasta Matrix of California, in this instance a portion near Donner Pass, 3, a yet to be located, or rather rediscovered, temple within the Mayan complex of Chichen Itza in the Yucatan. This temple was dedicated by Queen Amaluxal to the White Jaguar Lady, or Sekhmet. 4, on Easter Island. 5, in the Himalayas of Tibet. In the future, 3 additional Sekhmet temples, both etheric and physical, will be located as follows: near the Dead Sea, then one not far from Brisbane in Australia, and in the Sangre de Cristo mountain range of the San Luis Valley in Colorado. Within these temples of the etheric, and at times physical, the initiate comes upon Sekhmet as both the dweller on the threshold and the lighted lady. Within Sekhmet's temples, one becomes perceptive to the multidimensional realm of being that awaits us in the transfiguration of this world into the newer star consciousness. Each of these 8 temples, including those of both past and future together, presents a stage in the passage of the initiate into his/her new light body, that which Thoth calls the pure gem. Sekhmet speaks to us again. I am as one who arrives in darkness, shedding light into the 8 fashions of totality, born of the eye of Ra, as it upholds the most holy temple of sacrament. Sekhmet is a dynamic of creation. She arrives in darkness within the place of the void, and there she establishes her reign by shedding light, bringing forth enlightenment within 8 fashions of totality, or 8 archetypes of herself, which are aspects of her union with matter. These 8 aspects, then, are her points of interaction with the sacred seed inside the profane. These 8 forms are born of the eye of Ra, as it upholds the most holy temple of sacrament. The eye of Ra in this passage is the divine portal between universes and is the creator of her 8 fashions or forms of expression in matter. Thus her role as an interdimensional initiator is revealed. The eye of Ra keeps the balance between these universes, this balance being a sacred moment or foci, which is the most holy temple of sacrament. Now, obviously, as I'm reading from this, it's unfolding that Sekhmet is really more than an archetype, or what we understand as an archetype, because archetypes are sort of energetic experiences coming out of a great deal of symbology that has been placed upon them. And certainly that's true. Sekhmet is one of the Ismem. But we also need to see that the Ismem, at least those archetypes, and probably others, are also representing true quantum science, the dynamics of our universal state, creation and also ascension. Within the Egyptian hall of archetypes, Sekhmet's 8 forms are represented in Neath, Ashtoreth or Ishtar, Akaru, Hethert, which is Hathor, Mot, Bastet, which is Bast, and the sacred twins, Shu and Tefnut. She guardians sacred records, or archetypal light programs contained within the archetypes of Neter Neteru, Benu, Ra, Shin-Ur, Me, Urt, Nefertu, Kephara, and Kemti. She creates through what the ancient Egyptians called the 8 primordials. From an even more ancient perspective, Sekhmet herself is a primordial, for she is of the Ismem, who are the universal primordials. However, the Egyptian primordials are representations of earth creation rather than universal. These sacred 8 are Nu, Nut, Hehut, Hihu, Ketquit, Keth, Kurth, Kerth, Kurth, Kekui, and Kerhet. If you wish to study these archetypes listed above, as I'm reading here, we recommend getting a copy of the Book of Doors, Divination, deck by Anton Veggie and Allison Davidson. I have this, and I had lost it, and it was given back to me recently, which I greatly appreciated because it is quite a valuable composite of understanding Egyptian archetypes. The following are Sekhmet's ancient temples with their once physical location on the planet and the sacred records of initiation which each guardian is given by Thoth. Takahara. This temple rested near the Euphrates River in the Middle East. Its sacred records are represented by the Egyptian archetype of Bennu. The Bennu is a mythical bird resembling a heron. It was sacred to the ancient Egyptian city of Heliopolis, where it dwelt in its sanctuary on the Benben stone or obelisk. The Bennu was seen as a phoenix-like creature who perpetuated its new form by transforming the old through the fire of alchemy. Anton Veggie and Alison Davidson state in the Book of Doors, and I quote here, Herodotus records the Bennu bird making its appearance only once in 500 years, coming from Arabia, carrying in its beak an egg of myrrh that contained its father's body. This egg is similar to Geb's egg that was laid on the primordial hill and gave birth to the sun, the egg within which the whole alchemical process of transformation is effected. End of quote. Within the most inner holy of holies of the temple of Kyi'Ra, the sacred egg of Bennu was balanced upon a golden pedestal. It was a large, perfectly polished piece of alchemical crystal glass, a deep emerald color. In size, it was approximately 3 times that of an ostrich egg. Into this Bennu egg had been inserted light codes of the consciousness Bennu represented. This had been dutifully accomplished in ritual involving toning, color and mind imaging by high priests and priestesses of the temple for over 1,000 years. The egg was first created in Atlantis on the holy isle of Ruta, only later to find its place in the temple of Kyi'Ra. The Bennu egg is still in existence in a most secreted chamber beneath the sands. In the temple of Kyi'Ra, the initiate submits to the immolation of his/her outer form in the flame of purification. This is not a burning away of the flesh, but of the egoic mantle that conceals the greater ego of spirit. The pure symbol is emerald green egg in the center of golden flames. Jaffa. Located on Easter Island, this temple is dedicated to the cosmic harmonic denoted by the Egyptian archetype of Neter-Neteru. As an expression of the Absolute, this archetype personifies what Thoth calls the Atosic universe, where all points meet and merge, as if they had never been separated. The Lemurian view of the Atosic was one of being out of time and space, complete in its own sovereignty of perfection and light. When one entered the expression of the Atosic state, she would have to first move through many different volatile thought streams, where a complex image built into eternity. Then, as if shattering the mirror of self-expansion, the journeyer would break through the barrier of the complex mind and enter into the pure no-time space dimension of beingness, where only the I Am exists. In outer world personification, the pattern of the Atosic universe, or Neter-Neteru, unfolds through the sacred tree of universal life. An initiate of the Temple of Jaffa learns the process of the Neter-Neteru within his/her own human focus. It is taught that the human experience is not outside the Atosic universe. Instead, the Atosic universe is within the sacred geometry of the human energy body beyond the electromagnetic spectrum, although this truth can be demonstrated within the subtle fields of the electromagnetic. At Jaffa, one moves out of third-dimensional form and its attendant energy fields, through direct relativity, connects into the 4 event fields of the Archimede, known here as the monotonic, morphogenic, rhombic, and omnipronic. Now this is referring to the Archimid, and if you want to go up to my Spirit Mythos website and type in ARCHIIMID, you will come up with that particular topic. The pure symbol of Jaffa is the tree of life. Andara. This ancient temple was located in what is now Northern California, near Donner Pass. It is from this site that prima matra powders and crystals, or rather crystal glass, are still revealed upon the land. The light codes received within the temple are represented by the Egyptian archetype Shen-Ur, whose key meaning from the Book of Doors is a circuit of heaven or cosmos. In the same book, what Tuti calls, or Thoth called, the Ismim, are discussed under Shen-Ur as follows. And so this is, that wasn't very clear, but this is from the Book of Doors. I'm quoting here. The elder gods are described as being the mysterious spiritual progenitors of the human race, the great old ones who manifest through primordial memory as the tremendously powerful elemental forces, unquote. And so now I continue. In the Book of Doors, Shen-Ur represents the cyclic order of time. Thoth states that Shen-Ur is the guardian gate of the Ismim, and as such holds the key to the door of time, meaning that it aligns its knowledge to freedom from time and thus space. At Andara, the temple of Andara, the original Lemurian colony became Andarians, a new race of light-engendered beings through their work with Shen-Ur and the prima matra upon the land. They incorporated time into their selves as a whole movement rather than the linear compartmentalized fields which our cells currently hold. The pure symbol for the Andara temple is Circle of 13 Stars. Hue tal axito lutum. Remnants of this Sekhmet temple are still within the rich green tangle of the Yucatan, not far from the uncovered portion of the Mayan Chichen Itza ruins. It was dedicated by Queen Amaluxal to the White Jaguar Lady, or Lady Dahlia, in eons past, and that is Sekhmet. Amaluxal created a palace temple for the Catwoman appearing to her in her visions, whom she called the White Jaguar Lady. It was only after an Egyptian named Three Hawk came from Egypt to this temple with sacred star charts that the queen realized her Lady Dahlia to be one and the same as the lion-headed Sekhmet. With the help of Three Hawk and Initiative Sekhmet, this queen reformed her palace into a true initiatory temple of Sekhmet. In this temple, the light codes guardianed and received by the initiate are represented by the Egyptian archetype of Nefertum. Archetypally, Nefertum is the child of Sekhmet and Ptah. He is seen as the divine lotus, a flower sacred to the Egyptians. And now I quote from the Book of Doors. Nefertum is the young Tem, the sun god rising as a lotus flower from the primeval waters. The lotus emerging from the water became a symbol of the sun rising from the darkness, and for the Ka rising from the body of the dead. In Memphis, the creative fire of Ptah, in conjunction with the female element, the living water of Sekhmet, brings forth Nefertum, just as the lotus plant sends its budding flower through the water to blossom in the full light of the sun. And as the blossoming lotus yields its perfume, so Nefertum is the quintessence, the purest essence distilled from fire and water. That's the end of the quote from the Book of Doors. And now I say, Thoth says of Nefertum, it is the quickening of spirit as it finds itself free of matter. Yet as this enlightenment enfolds the spirit, it longs to share the song of flight with the matter child, and thus returns to embrace infant life and suckle upon dreams of purity and light. In the temple of Sekhmet, dedicated to the light codes of Nefertum, the initiate was given direct experience of the freedom from the body, astral travel, into higher dimensions of spirit form. She was then brought back into the matter body in a way that enhanced the soul's love of that form and desire to share with it the joy of flight. Pure symbol, a dove flying out of the mouth of a lion. Himhir-Letba. Atop the mountains of the Himalaya in Tibet, there is a tunnel cut in stone, leading into a valley not accessible any other way. In this, the Valley of the Blue Star, is the Sekhmet temple of Himhir-Letba. Of the 5 temples of Sekhmet within this grid which we are profiling here, Himhir-Letba is the only one that is still active on the physical plane. Now, I would like to qualify that and say that the Valley of the Blue Star is slightly removed in dimension from the rest of our reality grid, but is not a full dimensional leap, just like the inner Earth is not, although that's a little more complex in its format. But nevertheless, it is slightly removed, the valley is, but it is still physical, and it identifies with this physical plane. The light codes of this temple are personified in the Egyptian archetype of Ra, the sun god. The Book of Doors describes Ra as the mystery of creation embodied. Authors Veggie and Davidson state that he is described as a cosmic principle, an abstract, impassive principle, containing within itself all of the possibilities that might take form and become manifest. Now for me, Thoth places the archetype Ra on the throne of the Atosic Universal as the golden white sun of the 144,000 suns. In this he means that the golden white sun is the embodiment of totality, which is defined in the complete harmony of the 144,000 stars composing what Thoth calls the divine body, or the Yeshurta, it's very hard to say, Yeshurta Kominghe. This body contains the light codes for the complete temple of the human being and the Adam Kadmon. Thoth has spoken of the foundation stars previously, which he defines as those incorporations of living lights which were received in divine consecration in the beginning of the creation as a foundation stone for the universal temple as it is revealed to the worlds of being within divine Eshatan. Yet even the foundation stars, so Thoth tells me, are within the Yeshurta Kominghe, which is a greater body, including all components of the heaven temple. Thus, in the temple of Himhir-Letba, the initiates of the 144,000 suns, still attuned to the central sun of the Atosic universe, moving streams of divine love from that core into the central sun of the earth. Pure symbol, a single sphere of light encompassed by 144,000 points of light, forming circles within circles. The greater grid temple formed by the 5 Sekhmet temples reflects the body of man, the pentagram of human interaction with spirit and matter. This grid offers a field of resonance with this principle. In the future, the remaining 3 Sekhmet temples will move this dynamic from the octave of 5, which is the current number of cohesion between light and matter in the third dimension, to the octave of 8, which is the number of cohesion between light and matter in the new Earth star. As the Earth aligns to Principle 40, Light Principle 40, the Ascension Matrix, the movement towards identifying with future source is exemplified in the process of integration with greater light-to-matter octaves, such as the 8-temple complex will exemplify. If you wish to attune yourself in meditation to one or more of these Sekhmet temples, use the pure symbols as visual access codes to enter specific etheric initiation grades. As an entry point, mantram for meditation, chanting the name of the temple as given above would create an energetic foci with that specific temple. The 7 chakras are the vehicle or bridging factor which allows the human system interaction with its divine counterpart. Using the mantric name and the pure symbol of each temple, bring the tone image into your base chakra, 1 temple at a time, allowing it to gradually move through your chakra system from base to crown. Find where that particular temple resonates the strongest, allowing it to become inserted into your consciousness at that level. When all 5 temples have found their place in your chakras, work with each one individually, at the point in the body where it resonates. Go through the procedure of accepting the attributes of that temple within the specific chakra zone. When you feel it is time, allow the temple within which you have been working to move to another chakra. Continue to repeat the process until all 5 temples have been attuned to all 7 chakras. Now, I realize most of you listening to this are not going to be drawn to do this rather detailed meditation over a long period of time. Some may, so I'm sharing it with you here in this way. But I will be doing a second part to this Sekhmet series that is an activation video of just a few minutes, which allows you to just sort of move through the experience of it. You can play this video once a week or whenever you feel like it, and it just gives you sort of an expressional field of reference to this. And, you know, it can be a working body for you. It's not the same as going through it in depth, but it will be, I believe, activational. And so thank you for listening.